D-Day, the most famous invasion in military history. Most people, even halfway familiar with the Normandy landings, can name one of the beaches, normally Omaha Beach, due to Saving Private Ryan. There were in fact two US beaches, Omaha and Utah, then three British Commonwealth beaches, Gold, Juno and Sword. But I have discovered that there was in fact a sixth D-Day beach that somehow is virtually unknown today, written out of the story of the landings, but which was almost used, Allied forces standing by just offshore ready to storm the beach in landing craft. The name of that beach? Band, seen here marked on President Franklin D. Roosevelt's personal D-Day map. Band Beach was to have been the location of two daring commando operations to help protect Sword Beach to the west. Originally, the British beaches were all named after fish, from west to east: goldfish, jellyfish, swordfish, and bandfish. However, the Canadians rightly objected to landing on a beach codenamed Jelly, and the name was altered to Juno. The fish element of the names was then dropped, leaving Gold, Sword, and Band. So what purpose did Band Beach play in the overall D-Day plan? One of the biggest problems facing the Allies was the number and position of German heavy gun batteries dug in all along the Normandy coast. Their large caliber guns would wreak havoc for Allied forces storming ashore and threaten Allied naval vessels offshore. There were three ways of neutralizing them. Firstly, bomb them from the air, which was a problem as most had large concrete casemates protecting the guns and multiple bunkers and trench systems. Option 2, destroy them with naval gunfire using battleships, monitors and cruisers. If all else failed, there was option 3, storm them using either paratroopers dropped from the air or commandos landed on the beaches. The sector of shoreline codenamed Band, lying east of the Orne River, was covered by several German batteries. 3 batteries in particular could fire into the eastern flank of Sword Beach, potentially seriously disrupting the British landings there. One of the most important was Merville Battery, closest to the eastern edge of the British landing area, which the Allies believed was equipped with heavy caliber guns that would disrupt the British landings at Sword, 8 miles to the west of the battery. On the 6th of June, it was attacked by elements of the British 6th Airborne Division that dropped in the area in the early hours of D-Day. In the event, this assault was only partially successful. But regarding Band Beach, 2 further German batteries that gave the British cause for concern were those at Houlgate and Benneville, the next along the coast from Merville. Houlgate Battery consisted of 6 155mm Schneider guns captured from the French in 1940 and reused by the Germans. 2 were in concrete casemates and 4 in open positions, the latter able to hit Sword 10 miles to the west. The positions sat atop 300-foot-high cliffs. The German battery at Benneville also consisted of 6 155mm guns and was located a further 5 miles east along the coast from Houlgate. This battery could not directly hit Sword, but could menace the landing's eastern flank, particularly as the British advanced, as well as shipping offshore. Both batteries needed to be put out of action. Some softening up had occurred in the weeks leading up to D-Day. 2 weeks before the invasion, American B-26 Marauders had hit Houlgate with 500 tons of bombs, leaving 2 of the 6 guns inoperable. The original plan for dealing with Houlgate and Benneville was an amphibious assault on the coast, hence the creation of Band Beach. The original assaulting force was to have been No. 4 Commando, a battalion-sized British Army unit that had already undertaken several raids on the French coast earlier in the war, including the infamous Dieppe landings in August 1942. Led by the flamboyant Lieutenant Colonel Lord Lovat, they were transferred to another equally important task, landing on Sword Beach to deal with the Ouistreham gun batteries. However, the British decided that contingency plans would be put in place concerning Houlgate and Benneville. It was the responsibility of the Royal Navy to try and knock out the batteries on D-Day. Houlgate was assigned to the monitor HMS Roberts, armed with 15-inch guns, and the cruiser HMS Mauritius, while the battleship HMS Ramillies would destroy the Benneville battery. But what if the naval bombardment failed? 2 supplementary operations were created, both including commandos storming ashore on the 6th D-Day beach band. The plan was simple. After the Navy had given both of the batteries a substantial thrashing on the 6th of June, if the German guns continued to fire at either Sword Beach or offshore shipping, on D+1, that is the 7th of June, the landing operations at Band would commence in the early morning hours. Houlgate Battery was to be targeted by Operation Frog, consisting of No. 46 Royal Marine Commando. This was a battalion-sized force. At 0200 hours on the 7th of June 1944, 6 landing craft would bring in 180 men of the commando to land on Band Dog Beach. They would be followed by a second wave of 8 landing craft with the remaining 250 men aboard. They would then scale the cliffs under heavy fire and eliminate the German battery. Simultaneously, Operation Deer would witness the landing of No. 47 Royal Marine Commando up the coast opposite Benneville Battery. Again, 2 waves of a total of 14 landing craft would deposit a total of 430 commandos ashore for the assault. In total, Ban Beach would witness 860 commandos come ashore in a forgotten invasion to battle the Germans for their guns. So what actually happened? The ships carrying numbers 46 and 47 commandos formed up off the Isle of Wight in southern England, sailing for Normandy at 12:30 on the 6th of June. In the meantime, the naval shore bombardment vessels had already started work. HMS Roberts opened up on Houlgate Battery at 0523 hours from a range of 20,000 yards offshore. She fired 27 15-inch shells at the facility but caused little damage. Around the same time, HMS Ramillies opened up on Benneville Battery. In 80 minutes sustained firing, her 15-inch guns knocked out 4 of the German guns. She would knock out the last 2 German guns by the evening. Whilst this was going on, British paratroopers were assaulting Merville Battery, the closest to Sword Beach. The German commander there rang Houlgate and requested it fire onto his own position, which it did, not interfering in the main British landings at Sword. In the meantime, numbers 46 and 47 Royal Marine Commandos arrived off Sword Beach, opposite the town of Ouistreham, at 19:30 hours. At this point, both commandos were ready to move to Ban Beach in preparation for their twin assaults scheduled for 2 a.m. the following morning. But the commander of Force S, the bombardment group covering Ban Beach, decided that the landings would not be necessary, as one battery, Benneville, had already been knocked out, and the other battery at Houlgate was not causing undue problems. The landing force commander pressed for operations Frog and Deer to proceed, to ensure that the remaining German guns were silenced, but this was denied. The bad sea state at the time was also a factor that prevented Frog and Deer from happening. The landing force anchored off Juno Beach for the night, and the next morning landed in support of infantry operations ashore, seeing some hard fighting. Over the decades, operations Frog and Deer faded into obscurity, and along with it, the story of D-Day's forgotten 6th landing beach, Band. So concludes the story of Band Beach, the D-Day beach almost completely written out of the history books. That is, until now. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.